Now, Chicago is the next city that President Trump seems to be eyeing for sending in the National Guard. I thought it was hilarious because the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, decided he would take a break from the buffet line and go do a press conference. And this, I thought, was a hilarious clip from that press conference. Watch this and we'll get you some Chicago crime statistics. Check it out.
We're very pleased about the progress that we're making. I know that I live rent-free in the president's head, and I wish he would spend some time in Chicago so that he could see what a lovely city we have.
Governor, quick follow-up. What do you do if the National Guard is activated and comes your...
Give that videographer an Oscar for that cinematic pan. Now, the White House released some numbers. For the 13th consecutive year, Chicago has had the most murders in any U.S. city. For 7 consecutive years, Chicago has had the highest murder rate among U.S. cities with more than 1 million people, and the list goes on and on and on. Kendall, you think President Trump would be justified sending in the National Guard to the most murdery city in the country to try and, I don't know, stop the murders?
Absolutely. I think it's hysterical that he says he's living rent-free in his head. All of these individuals think that Trump, they're living rent-free in Trump's head. This is not true. I also think it's comical that he is standing on the waterfront with his security detail saying that it's so safe. Go over to Cicero, go to the South Side and film yourself. Go at night. Heck, go during the middle of the day, but it is not safe in Chicago. 1 in 29 are victims of a violent of a property crime, and 1 in 103 are victims of a serious crime, a violent crime. Chicago is not safe, and we need to do something. And this is exactly why we've appointed President Trump for the president, because he is going to get things done and he is going to make America safer. And Chicago needs to be one of those places.
Yeah, it's wild to me that people are trying to gaslight everyone to think, no, Chicago's totally fine. J.B. Pritzker, again, governor of Illinois, said, well, President Trump should come visit. Well, producer Glenn reminded us, yeah, he was there last year. And also, I've never quite understood this idea of like, oh, they have to go to see it. Like, no, we can see it. It's all over the news. There's a crazy murder rate in Chicago. What do you think it's going to take for the people of Chicago to put enough pressure on their own government to say, hey, we don't want Trump here, but also you guys got to fix this dang problem?
Well, Joe Bob, I'm glad you brought up the gaslighting, because that's exactly what Democrats do. Remember when Joe Biden was in office? There's no inflation. There's no border crisis. Now there's no crime in Chicago. There's no crime in D.C. You're gaslighting every single day, and Americans just are not falling for it. If you live in one of these cities, Chicago is just one on the list that is just in absolute decline, and we are sick of it. And I think, when it comes to President Trump sending in troops and forces into Chicago, I'm all for it. I know there's some constitutional issues there, but I think President Trump should do everything in his power because he wants to save America and he wants to usher in this golden age of America. And I think, a lot of reports say he drove around D.C. to the Kennedy Center and he was just disgusted by the state of the city. And so I think he wants to clean up all of our cities. The main issue that we're facing in Chicago and like every other major liberal city is they do all this ballot harvesting nonstop. So I don't think the leadership actually really reflects how people feel in the city. So you're just in this constant cycle of having these crazy woke progressive mayors and DAs that continue to ruin the city over and over again. So I think we need to look into the election system and make sure that we're having foolproof elections as well, so we get some better leadership. But in the meantime, President Trump is our president and he should be fixing our cities. And I'm so happy he's putting the attention there, because for me as a conservative, that is my number one issue, just improving the quality of life in our amazing cities across the country.
Jamie, unfortunately, I think you're probably mistaken. The New York Times told me that the elections are totally safe and fair, and that mailing ballots to anyone with a pulse that can fog a mirror is a totally legitimate way of doing elections. Sorry again for having to issue the correction there. But yeah, what it sounds like is the American people like civility. They like stability, and the fact that there's chaos makes people go, yeah, why are we don't have to do this. I love that.